Roast your coffee gently with those beans. Merrily, merrily, merrily roast. Coffee is more than caffeine. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Merrily Roasting with me, Francis Peck, here in my coffee laboratory. We're going to look at the Aillio Bullet first version. Now it's not really that merrily roasting when you have to say ErC. I have another error code popping up. I've been suffering from several ErC0004, which was the ambient temperature being too high, and then also ErC0001, which is the infrared measurement not matching the drum temperature or being too excessively different, something in that sense. So you know, that indicates you might need to do some maintenance and really cleaning all the different components. So first thing you always have to do is you know, detach this one here. As you could see also in the back, you need something to pull that piece, and then you can detach this one, which is as important to do first, as you're going to want to use this as a support for when you are removing the front here, which you can do with this screw. So let's go quickly screwing it open. Safety first though. Actually, I've been a bit too quick, but if you're doing any kind of maintenance, this one isn't connected to power, it's also disconnected at the other plug side, but just for extra safety always disconnect it here so that you don't overlook that. So then after opening it up, you really want to give it a good vacuuming. I made a previous small video short where I use a lightsaber to really get fully committed to cleaning this shaft here, but of course just using your vacuum cleaner with good suction, that usually works sufficiently, and then you can also really clean the roasting chamber like that. I think they actually mentioned you shouldn't be scrubbing it all too hard, like that surface stays quite clean by itself. So then after opening it up, you would then also clean the infrared. So using a bit of alcohol and this kind of ear cleaning thingy, a cotton tige. It's not something I actually, cotton tiges en papier. Oh, that's actually in French. How do you call that in English? Let me know in the comments. In any case, you give that a good cleaning. You will notice if it's still showing quite dirty, and then you also have the other drum temperature sensor, that little wad sticking out there. And actually I think I identified the problem. There was a beam stuck between that sensor and the little thing next to it, which was probably overheating and probably interfering with those temperature readings. So I would think that at least one of those readings should now be improved. So then you can reattach it. So reattaching always, having the support is very important. You don't want to have it dangling, right? You don't want it to really pull on that cable. If you will notice, there's 3 small tabs here which kind of indicate where they should be going in. It's sometimes a little bit of wiggling to find that position again, and then when you do, it doesn't always work that easily, which is if it's not working, sometimes this chamber, you need to actually lift that a little bit. So that's, it all kind of comes together like, it's one big piece. Everything needs to fit nicely, or it doesn't work. Of course, then it doesn't work if you get something not properly organized. So this is, of course, you know, this whole chamber is always a little bit a tricky thing in getting properly connected. So let's give it just another try. I don't really know why it is not playing along too nicely this time along. Okay, it is easier from the top, and then just getting those screws back, and anytime that you're screwing on something, you know, the best practice is always don't go too tight on one side. You do want to already get it a little bit in position. Then you go to that bottom one and see if you can properly attach that one as well. Again, you don't necessarily, oh, I really see that the whole thing here is, yes, you see, then you need to really make sure that the shaft goes properly in there. That would give you a big issue, of course, because you don't really get a nice connection. So I'm already working over a year with the Aillio Bullet, and I've been fortunate that Dr. B from Bruges Beans, this is actually his device, and I'm roasting coffee for him on his own device, and I get you know, €5 per kilogram rate for doing that. And then when I use his machine for my own coffee, I pay him €5 per kilogram that way. That sounds like quite a fair system. At least, you know, that's how we worked it out. And for the moment, I'm actually roasting more coffee for Dr. B than I roast for myself. At some point, I really do want to buy the upgrades or go even bigger, because I'm starting to get to have a good feeling for all the maintenance that is required, and working with it and getting a feel of going through these motions. So I am starting to feel comfortable with it. I also really don't like those ErCs. You know, it's not necessarily their fault. Another small thing, you know, to consider here is you need to be careful that the screw in the back, when you're tightening this, doesn't push that screw too much in the back, otherwise you end up with a hole on your front panel, and you want this, you know, like this, nicely closing, then it's good. As you could see, I was also testing with my vacuum suction if I still have suction sufficiently here. In fact, I did do a cleaning just before having this issue that I had to reopen everything, so that's why I didn't need to do the extra cleaning of the filter here. The coffee oils really make, you know, this a difficult element. At some point it just really ends up being blocked, and then you have no other choice than using a, so this, okay, then using a water power machine, you know, giving it a lot of pressure to get it started. That's really the only way to give that a proper cleaning. Now, the machine is, let's say, I would hope, back in working order. There's only one way of testing this, of course, and that is now by plugging it in. Always first connect it to the device here. I mean, for me at least, that makes more sense. And connecting it here, and hopefully we should hear directly that the machine is ready to go. I'm already happy the bullet is now ready. So that's how you do a proper cleaning of the Aillio bullet when you're facing some errors, whether it be ErC0001, 0004, whatever thing happening. Usually it's a good idea to give your machine a maintenance round. So I hope this sheds some light for you on certain of those error codes and what can happen. So also be on the lookout for a beam that might be stuck between one of your temperature probes and one of the bits of the machine that can give you interference in your temperature readings. Now, as I was going through this and you're getting these temperature readings, you can actually still roast, but you need to just, you know, use your senses more, as you have to do as a coffee roaster anyway. You know, as you can see in my videos, I actually don't connect the computer to this device. I don't need all the fancy graphs. I think using this machine as is more than sufficient to give you excellent roast. You know, it's all about those two cracks, getting a nice position in between those two cracks to give you a perfect tasty cup of coffee. So I hope this session was useful for you. Thanks for following me. Thanks for merrily roasting together with me. Hope to see you here in the roastery or online. So thanks again. See you on the next episode.